Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenington, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. Today, we got a pretty nice set of card reveals today. Only really two real cards, like collectible cards you can actually put in your deck, but a new card subset, sort of like Celestials for Targon. We have MECHA-YORDLES for Vandal City. At the moment, there's only two ways to create mecha-yordles, two cards. We'll be looking at them a little bit later. A little bit of a hint towards Rumble, actually, with these cards. So now, while I was thinking we might be getting Ari in this upcoming set, we might be getting Rumble. Or we might still be getting Ari, because I really feel like it would be weird to have Ari in the trailer for the upcoming set and then not have Ari, but whatever. But we might not get Ari, but these mecha-yordles might be laying the groundwork for Rumble himself. Plus, here's the thing. A lot of these mecha-yordles are really good cards on their own, and the ways to create the mecha-yordles, I think, are very good as well. Anyway. So, enough rambling. Let's go and look at the yordles, the mecha-yordles, and how to create them. Okay, so first off, like I said, only two ways to create mecha-yordles. A unit called Squeaker and a burst speed spell called Scrap Heap. Both of which are Vandal City only cards, so you have to be in Vandal City to play these. First off, my first thing when I see this, because these are both manifest cards. Hello, Shellfolk? Anyway, let's actually look at the cards themselves. So, what is Squeaker? 2 mana 1/1, augment. Play the card, discard 1 to manifest a Mecha-Yordle. Okay, pretty good. These Mecha-Yordles, as we'll see, more of them. There are 11 of them for now. We might get more in the future, but there are 11 of them for now. So, 3 cards out of 11. You're very, very likely to get something you really want for the scenario you're in. While this is not as powerful as Invoke, because Celestials, I think, are stronger. They're only units here for mecha-yordles. There's no, like, Falling Comet or anything, or there's no, like, big, super late game card like, Immortal Fire, Great Beyond, or Supernova, or Living Legends or something. But there are still some fairly strong mid-range-ish options, like 5 and 6 drops. So, what is Squeaker, though? Pretty good card, I think. Augment, fine. Works well with the mecha-yordles because they're all created cards. So, you're basically paying for a Spacey Sketcher that costs 1 more mana, but you get Augment in exchange. Spacey Sketcher is a pretty good card. One of the strengths of Spacey Sketcher is being able to get rid of cards that are just bad in a matchup, or, you know, helping to clear out your hand in case you got unlucky and drew extremely late game oriented cards in the early game, like Aurelion Soul. Now, the problem with this is Spacey Sketcher's pool is, I don't know if I would say it's better. A lot of these units seem a little bit better than the Celestial units that Sketcher's giving you, even though, like, I don't know, the little doggo is pretty nice. But in general, I'd say the units are better than the Celestial units that the Sketcher will give you. But Sketcher gives you some pretty strong spells like Equinox and Moonglow and Crescent Strike. So yeah, I don't know about Squeaker. Comes down a turn later, but sometimes getting a Sketcher on 1 is really nice against aggro. But I still think Squeaker will be played. Very strong card. So yeah. Next card up, Scrap Heap. 1 mana burst speed spell. To play this, discard 1, manifest a Mecha-Yordle. So you have to discard something for both of these cards to get your Mecha-Yordle. That's not that difficult in my opinion. Between just discarding bad cards in certain matchups or fleeting cards like Poison Darts from Lecturing Yordle, I think it's going to be really easy to have cards to discard. Also, Draven might be a thing. Gems from Targon, etc., etc. Riven fragments. There seems to be a lot of ways to discard. Discard doesn't seem like that much of a negative. And if you want, you can even go and try and make some discard synergy by playing things like Lost Soul. Please don't actually play that. I hate playing against Lost Soul. But yeah, both of these cards are pretty good. Scrap Heap 2 being at burst speed lets you get out burst speed blockers if you discard things like Flame Chompers or Reborn Grenadier, which is pretty strong as we've seen in Draven Scion. Draven Scion using things like Rummage or Draven Axes to discard Flame Chompers or Grenadiers or other things at burst speed to get an extra little blocker, which is nice, or an extra attacker at burst speed is also pretty good. So, big fan of Scrap Heap. And big fan of Squeaker. I just like these kind of manifest, giving you value kind of cards, manifest, invoke, etc., etc. I just love value. So, let's actually now look at the Mecha-Yordles themselves, see if this is all worth it for what we're doing. Spoiler, it is. This is not much. They are not asking much for you to get these Mecha-Yordles, and the Mecha-Yordles are pretty... they're pretty good for their cost, and they're not too expensive, so they can come down fairly quickly. First off, Bouncer and Bolt. 2 mana 3/2 with Challenger and Impact. Also, these are all Mecha-Yordles. I don't know if that means they'll count as Yordles for the theoretical Yordle synergy we might be getting soon. I've been hearing... I heard there was a leak of a Yordle synergy card. I won't talk about it in this video until we actually get the real confirmed release of it, in case it was just a fake leak, because we've had those before. So yeah, not sure if Mecha-Yordle means they'll get Yordle synergy, or if Yordle synergy only affects actual Yordles and not Mecha-Yordles. But if Mecha-Yordles get affected by Yordle synergy, and from what I've seen of the leaked, quote-unquote leaked Yordle synergy, that's going to be scary. But yeah, Bouncer and Bolt, 2 mana 3/2 with Challenger and Impact. Very simple card here. I like it. I like it. We've seen 2 mana 3/2s with Challenger before, Dragon Guard Lieutenant. I think that's the name of the guy, the 2 mana 3/2 that has to behold a dragon to get Challenger. This thing doesn't have to do anything else to get Challenger. It's just a 2 mana 3/2 with Challenger already. And they threw on Impact as a little extra on top. Kind of like is basically like Serpent in the Celestial Pool. Sure, one of the strengths of Serpent is it costs 0, but ever since they nerfed Serpent, you're never too scared or even happy to pick a Serpent. You just pick Serpent, you're like, well, it's a 0 mana 1/1. I guess I'll take it. Because Serpent doesn't really kill much anymore nowadays, right? When it was a 2/1, sure, it could kill things. Now, as a 1/1, doesn't kill things. 3/2, though, is going to kill a lot of things. Now, I will say this. While I love the Mecha-Yordles, since we're at the moment limited to only Squeaker and Scrap Heap to create Mecha-Yordles, we're probably going to be heavily limited on how many Mecha-Yordles we'll get per game. Unless Rumble is sort of like Zoe, where, I don't know, Rumble does something and he generates like a card that creates Mecha-Yordles, or I don't know, he'll like do something and give you a random Mecha-Yordle or something, which could happen. I could see Rumble doing that. Also, Bandletree. Every single region, you'll notice like the Furyhorn Crasher and the Geode Mecha Forger are multi-region Yordles, Mecha-Yordles. Every single region has a multi-region Mecha-Yordle in it. So, yeah, good old Bandletree got more buffs. So that's going to be a yikes if Bandletree keeps, getting more and more good cards. So, Furyhorn Crasher. 2 mana 3/2. Okay. Good stats for the cost. Impact. Lots of impact on these cards, by the way. Just seems like they wanted to give a bunch of things impact, which I guess that means like that's a hint towards Rumble having impact. Attack. Grant the top 3 allies in your deck +1/+1. So I do like that all of the multi-region Mecha-Yordles seem to have something going on with their secondary region. Like Freljord does like to buff stuff in their deck. So that's pretty cool. As for this, it's solid. It's a very solid card. You're probably going to get at least one attack with this, unless your opponent's playing like Avalanches or Mystic Shots. There are other ways to get rid of this, but those are probably the more common ways. And one, let's say they block too, like they block with whatever and just trade or something. That's fine. You traded 1-for-1 for one of their units, and you got a point of chip damage to their face, which is not meaningless. And then the buff could also you could high roll the buff and have the buffs go on some really strong cards like, I don't know, Zoe's or Poppy's or something. So I like the card. I don't think I'll pick it too often, but it's pretty strong. Next card. This one I don't like. I think this one's probably the weakest out of all of them. Geode Mecha Forcer. 2 mana, 1/4. It's kind of, it's fine stats, but I kind of hate that it's allocated in that order. Support, give my supported ally spell shield and +2/+2 this round. Very, very strong support ability, but I don't know, just support. I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan of support. It feels like no deck that is heavily reliant on support is good. I guess you could argue maybe with some of the cards that have been printed before previously or have been spoiled already, you can maybe try to do like some kind of Bandle City Lee Sin deck. I personally tried Bandle City Lee Sin as well. The problem with Bandle City Lee Sin is your Bandle City Ionia deck, and Bandle City Ionia doesn't have a way to give Overwhelm to a unit, unless I'm forgetting one that's been spoiled, but I'm pretty sure that doesn't have one way to give Overwhelm to a unit, and that's one of the best things to do with Lee Sin. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. Like, giving +2/+2 and Spell Shield is powerful. It's only temporary, though. It's not a grant, which if this was a grant, this card would be OP. I guess 1/4, while it is a nice stat line in that it might survive one round of attacks, what do you want to give Spell Shield and +2/+2 to that early? I'm just not sure. I don't know. Like, Bouncer and Bolt usually will probably kill something. Fury Horn's giving you some nice stat buffs and probably killing something too. Mecha Forcer has to be fighting because of support, so it has to go into combat. It can't be defensive. So, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'll still probably pick it in some scenarios where I'm like, oh, I have an elusive or something, or oh, I have a card that wants to attack, but it would be nice if it has Spell Shield, like, I don't know, Pantheon or something. And the +2/+2 buff helps it stay alive, so that's kind of nice, but not the biggest fan of this card. Next few cards. We're getting to the bigger mecha-yordles here. All right, first off, Dune Hopper Mech, the Shurima one. 5 mana, 5/6. Pretty good stats for the cost. Like, really, really good stats for the cost. This is old. Actually, what is a 5/6 that was good? This is old Jack the Winner stats, actually. I was going to say, like, this is old Trundle, but I can't remember if Trundle was a 5/6 or only a 4/6 or whatever before it got nerfed. But yeah, so what does Dune Hopper Mech do besides have good stats for the cost? Impact. Okay, not bad, not bad. Attack. Summon 2 attacking Sand Soldiers. Not amazing. Not an amazing attack thing. Like, sure, Sand Soldiers, the 1/1s are fine to send in, and Dune Hopper Mech's so fat it'll probably survive combat once, maybe even twice, and get multiple attacks in. But I'm just not the biggest fan of this. Maybe some weird Kennen. I could see like some weird Kennen Azir, I don't even know, mid-range deck that uses Mecha-Yordles possibly come out, but I think most of the time you see this card, it's mostly just here as a big 5 mana 5/6 with a little extra on top in the form of the impact and summoning Sand Soldiers. Now, on the other hand, this next card, though, Trumpetecker. 5 mana 4/5, impact. The Demacia version of the Mecha-Yordles. When I'm summoned, grant other allies +1/+1. This is nuts. That's not a temporary buff, too, like a Genevieve or something. This is a permanent buff. This is a banner man already. A banner man with no allegiance condition attached to it. It's got great stats for the cost. Well, I shouldn't say great. 4/5 for 5 is not actually that good. It's decent. Has impact, too, on top as well. So this card is going to probably be the card you see a lot from the Mecha-Yordles. In my personal opinion, I think overall, this is the strongest out of all the Mecha-Yordles. While I do think other Mecha-Yordles are better in some situations, I do think in a more general, all-around base situation, nothing too specialized, I am going to pick Trumpetecker. I'm going to have such a hard time saying that name over and over. But I'm going to pick Trumpetecker a lot of the time. +1/+1 to your entire board is super strong, as we've seen from Bannerman and more recently Poppy. And unlike Poppy, this doesn't have to attack. This just has to be summoned, and your opponent can't stop that, really. Next card, Earthshaker. I hope there's no copyright from Dota. 6 mana, 3/8. Impact. Okay. It's kind of weird. Reminds me a lot of Battering Ram. Big unit or expensive unit with high-ish health and low attack. What's it do? Like I said, impact, so that's fine. Attack. Double my power and impact. It's pretty good. So it is like Battering Ram, so it has to attack, and it attacks, it gets more power. So it doubles the impact. And with its high health, it's probably going to be able to attack at least twice. So it'll be a what? Assuming no buffs, of course. Like, let's assume no buffs, because I have no idea how this will work with buffs. Like, if you play, like, Elixir of Wrath on it and make it a 6/8 and then attack. It'll be a 12/8 when attacking, but when the turn's over, will it be... What does it turn into? A 9/8 after the Elixir runs out, or a 6/8 after the Elixir runs out? I think 9/8. But yeah, this card, I'm not sure about this card. Yeah, it puts on a lot of pressure, but all those stats it's stacking up don't mean too much. Like, the scarier thing than it doubling power just means your opponent has to chump block it. Doubling impact is what's going to be scary. Getting to attack twice will give you what? Impact 4 on the second attack, because the first attack will give you impact 2, and then the second's impact 4. So that means you attacked twice, and impact 2 on the first attack, impact 4, that's 6 impact damage coming through. That's a lot of damage. And then if you get another attack, impact 8, which is probably... If you attack 3 times with Earthshaker, you're probably already in a winning position anyway. Unless your opponent, I don't know, has like insanely good healing or whatever. But yeah, I don't think you should... And this is true for all of the MECHA-YORDLES. I don't think you should try to build around the MECHA-YORDLES because, again, RNG might just screw you and say, like, cool, you're trying to build around Earthshaker. That's a no, we're never going to give you Earthshaker or something when you're trying to manifest Earthshaker. So, I like it. I don't think you should try to build around it, but it's a very scary card for your opponent. Kind of hard to remove with a high health pool and stuff, but yeah. I could definitely see this card being picked when your opponent is like, oh no, I need some kind of late game. Let me choose Earthshaker. Like, let's say they don't have a board, so they see like Trumpetecker and Earthshaker, and they're like, well, I have no board, so Trumpetecker's kind of useless, but there's an Earthshaker here, and my opponent only has like small stuff to chump block with. I'm taking Earthshaker. Now the next card. While I said Trumpetecker is the most powerful in general card I have talked about, I think Little Dipper might actually be the scariest. So, what is Little Dipper? It's the Shadow Isles version of MECHA-YORDLES. 6 mana, 5/3. Very small health pool for a 6-drop. That's fine, though, because of its text. First off, impact again. They all have impact, it seems. Seems like the MECHA-YORDLE tribe, if that's going to be Rumble's thing, will all have impact. So, Rumble confirmed to have impact, I guess. To play me, discard a unit. Last breath, summon an exact copy of that discarded unit. First question, can it summon champions? Unsure about that. If it can, that's terrifying. If it can't, that's fine still. Here's the problem with this card. Well, no, not the problem. Here's the thing about this card. It specifically is summoning the unit. So you're still getting the summon abilities. I'm sure you don't get the play abilities from the unit, but you're getting the summon abilities. You know who has a good summon ability, who we used to cheat out before? 10 mana Cythria. I can see this being played in a 10 mana Cythria deck. Now, sure, before you say, well, you can't play it, streamer. I know what you mean. But the problem is, how do you build the Bandle City MECHA-YORDLE Cythria deck? The old 10 mana Cythria deck was a Shadow Isles Demacia deck using things like the Matron and other ways to discount Matron, I hope that's the name of that 8 mana card, to cheat out an ephemeral Cythria. if you want to play Lil Dipper, you have to be in Bandle City to get the Bandle City cards that generate your MECHA-YORDLES. So that means you have to cut Shadow Isles. So you're not in Shadow Isles anymore. You're a Bandle City Demacia deck. You lose Matron, which I'm not sure if that's good enough, but there's other good cards too. And like I said, if this can hit champions, that's going to be terrifying. For example, getting out of really easy Aurelion Soul, really cheap Aurelion Soul is pretty solid. And if you do actually play this in, like, if you are actually in Shadow Isles, you're like some Bandle City Shadow Isles deck, which Darkness, I guess. You have things like Glimpse as well to kill your own units, Ravenous Butcher, Spirit Leech. There's a good amount of ways to kill your own units if you want to kill Little Dipper. But I don't think you'll want to actually kill your own Little Dipper, because it seems like it'll be pretty easy for it to die with 3 health and 5 attacks. So you can attack it and your opponent's like, well, I don't want to take 6 damage from the 5 attack and 1 impact. So I'll block and let it die. Also, another thing is, I wonder if they're going to make it so you can see, if your opponent can see what you discarded to play Little Dipper. Completely do not know that. Because if they don't, that's going to be a little scary. Your opponent's going to be like, okay, let's roll the dice and see what pops out of Little Dipper. Also, I wonder if it's going to be like Some Treasure and Zonite Urchin. If you don't know, Some Treasure and Zonite Urchin, you know, the play to play the card, or sorry, when you play them, you can discard 1 to draw 1, but you can actually skip the discard, which a lot of people actually don't know about that. I wonder if you'll be able to do that with Little Dipper, just play it as a 6-mana 5/3 with impact, which, I'll be honest with you, is kind of sad. But, you know, sometimes you need a unit and you don't really have anything to discard. So yeah, those are the more mid-rangey MECHA-YORDLES. We got one more page, though, I believe. We got the other regions left, so a few more. We got Bilgewater's version. Salty Spinner, 3-mana 0/4. When I'm summoned, oh, I should also mention, it has impact. They all have impact, of course. When I'm summoned or round start, grant me +0/+2 for each card you discarded last round, then shuffle my stats. So it's kind of like Slotbot, but I don't like this card. It's only getting stats for discarding, not like Slotbot, who's like, okay, I get the stats for just you drawing. Sure, it's getting more stats than Slotbot, but you got to discard, and I don't know. This one specifically, like I said, the Targon one was probably the worst one. This one actually might be the worst one. This is gonna be so hard to get going. So let's think, like, let's say you have no way to discard outside of the MECHA-YORDLES, of course, the MECHA-YORDLE creators. So when I'm summoned, it will get +0/+2 for each card you discarded last round. So let's assume, like, you discarded a card last round to get Salty Spinner and you summon it. It's an 0/6, and then the stats get shuffled around. Also, will the stats get shuffled around if you didn't discard a card last turn? Like, let's say the round starts, it checks to see if you discarded anything, you discarded nothing. It gives you +0/+0 because you get no stats because you didn't discard anything. I assume with the way it's worded, it'll still shuffle stats around, which I'm not even sure if I like that, but still, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this one. Feels a little weird. I can still see people picking this up, though, out of all their cards, because it is a Bandle City card, Bandle City Bilgewater card for Bandle Tree decks, so I could see people picking this up in their Bandle Tree decks. But outside of the Bandle Tree deck, I'm not really a big fan of this. I don't think it's going to be easy enough to discard cards to make this grow that much. And also, there are probably going to be other choices if you need a 3-drop. For example, Smash and Dash. 3-mana 4/4. When I'm summoned, grant me impact twice. Very simple card here. Don't have to talk about it too much. Pure Bandle City, no secondary region. Overstated card with double impact. That's it. There's not much here. Card is great, really solid card to choose when you're just like, okay, let's not do anything too cute here. Let's just choose this thing to help smooth out the curve. Pretty overstated, and impact 2 is going to be pretty powerful. While it was a long time ago, Badger Bear used to be a 3-mana 4/4, and Badger Bear itself was actually a playable card, and some people played Badger Bear in their decks because it was a 3-mana 4/4 and really, really tough for people to deal with on curve. Sort of like how Lecturing Yordle is right now, in fact. Now, granted, Lecturing Yordle's played for more than just its stats, but still. But yeah, that's all for Smash and Dash. Not much to talk about here. Very simple card, but very good card. Next up, I like this one. Professor Von Mech. First off, Professor Von Yip reference, and in the full art, it actually has Professor Von Yip getting shot out of a water cannon, which is kind of cute. 4-mana 3/2, Impact. When I'm summoned, create a random 1, 2, and 3 cost follower in hand. So the followers aren't limited to your regions, which is something to note. I don't even want to say it's nice, but there are some good ones and some bad ones you can hit. But since it's not limited to your regions, you can get some really good high rolls. For example, you can get Solari and Lunari Priestess from Targon. You can get Conchologist, Telescope, Pharaoh's Financier in the 2-drop slot, Spacey Sketcher in the 1-drop slot. There's some really high value 1, 2, and 3 drops you can get. There's some low value ones you can get too, like Shadow Fiend for a 1-drop, or Dragon Chow if you have no way to activate it. But it's because at that point it's a 1-mana 0/3 blocker, which is not terrible, I guess. I guess it could hold stats too for Trumpet Tecker. But yeah, pretty good card here. I really like this card. It's expensive. Don't get me wrong. 4-mana 3/2, not a good stat line for a 4-drop, but we have had 4-drops that create cards before that have been nerfed. Looking at you, Fangs. Sure, it had Lifesteal too, but still, that card, I still don't know why they nerfed it. I hate that they nerfed it. I wish they would unnerf it. Von Mech is a pretty solid card. Also, I've said it numerous times, Bandletree. You can get more regions off of those 1, 2, and 3s for your Bandletree deck, so very, very scary. And the last MECHA-YORDLE, Shadow Tech Walker. 4-mana 2/5. It's the Ionia version of MECHA-YORDLES. Elusive and Impact. Of course, the Ionia one has Elusive. Why not? This card, though, sure, its stat line is interesting for an Elusive. Very high health, very low attack, but it has Elusive. So maybe, I mean, you'll pick this a lot. Like, think about it, like Trickster. Trickster is the 3-mana 3/3 Elusive for Celestials. You pick that a lot, even though you're not an Elusive deck, because, you know, Elusives are just really annoying. And Trickster's got an okay stat line for a 3-drop. 3-mana 3/3 is fine. 4-mana 2/5 is a fine stat line for a 4-drop. Or sorry, 2/5 stat line for a 4-drop. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay stat line, blocks really well, I'd say, against elusives, especially. And thanks to it being elusive, you can get a lot of chip damage really quickly thanks to it. You get the 2 and then the 2 damage from itself and then the 1 from the impact. Holds buffs really well in case of like things like Poppy or a Trumpet Tecker or other kinds of buffs and stuff. Really, really scared of this card. It's going to be hard to remove with that high health pool. Elusive, so it's hard to interact with and just block in combat. Scary, scary card. Little slow though because it's 4 mana and you have to generate it off of the MECHA-YORDLE generators, but very scary. Anyway though, that's gonna be it. Long video today, but we had a lot of cards to talk about, even though it's only really technically 2 cards. We had a whole new subset of cards that are being generated, kind of like Celestials, so we had to talk about a lot of stuff here. I like the MECHA-YORDLES, but again, like I said earlier, I'm a big fan of Manifest and Invoke style stuff. So I love cards that just give you a little more value. I love overstated big things like this. I love how some of these MECHA-YORDLES do give you more value, like Professor Von Mech is doing, or Lil Dipper. I think that's the name of the Shadow Isles one. Just a really nice one. And I just like that. And I think that because of Manifest, and it's not just giving you one randomly, you're always going to be able to find one that you really, really like. I'm ready to cry about Trumpet Tecker, though. So yeah, great cards. I'd love to hear your opinion on these and whether you enjoy this type of card or you hate it and you hope they never print more Manifest at all. I like Manifest. I'm probably going to make some weird Bandle City shell folk deck to try and abuse all these mecha-yordles and get more mecha-yordles off of Vandal City stuff. Maybe throw in those mecha-yordle generators with my Poppy Lux shell folk deck. See how that works. But yeah, very big fan of this. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you leave a like or a comment down below. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Sedenton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye!